Hello everyone, Peter Finch here, and welcome now to another Quest for the Open video. Now I actually managed to play in my first comp for, was it 4 or 5 months last week, and I crapped the bed a little bit. I didn't play very well at all. The occasion got to me, if that doesn't sound too grandiose, but I've got another comp happening in about 5 days. It's a qualifier to get into the British Masters up at Close House. Now I played at Close House before, it was a couple of years ago now. Actually went out on the Pro Am with Martin Keimer, Buzzer and Seb on Golf, and really enjoyed it. So I'm looking forward to getting up, playing a practice round on Sunday, and then competing in the qualifier on the Monday. It's the chair, I promise, I didn't fart. But what I want to do with the Quest for the Open videos this year is really focus on certain aspects of the game, practice those leading up to the event, setting a goal within the event, and then seeing if any of the practice paid off so you guys will know if it's worth doing or not. And this week I'm very much focused on putting. So throughout this video I'm going to be doing drills, giving advice, my own advice, trying to follow my own advice, and then seeing if it works out within the competition. So the first thing I'm doing, using my indoor putting studio / office. In here I am practicing very much just technique. Trying to reset a few things that I felt were slightly off kilter during the Pro Am. And I didn't put terribly during the Pro Am. A lot of this was mentality and nerves, something else which I do need to work on, but that's going to be coming in the next comp, and I'll explain why in a future video. But in here I'm using 3 drills, and I'm doing 100 each of these putts. I won't take you through the shot by shot because that'll be a bit boring, but the first putts I'm basically using this Visio mat. So 100 putts on that, just trying to get my stroke feeling like it's arcing, really trying to get the sense that that putter blade is releasing through impact as well. Then still using the mat, what I do is I stretch a string over the top so it's directly through the middle of the golf ball as I look down on it. That helps with my eye alignment. It also helps me see where that stroke is moving. And then the last little drill I do is stick a couple of bits of blue tack either side of the putter face, and that makes me hit the center of the club face. And I've been doing that over the last 3 days. Like I said, 100 each of those drills. Every 10 putts that I have, this is another aside, I take a break and actually do some exercises. So press up, sit up, squats, or just some stretching, just to break it up a little bit and start to work on things a bit more ballistically. No, that means you don't work on anything at all, is it? Just to break it up and stuff. So I come down to Withington Golf Club. I've been here for about 5 hours now, and I wanted to do a few different drills, basically circular drills or round the world drills with 10 balls from 3 foot, 6 foot, and then 10 foot. Now, the rule's pretty simple. From 3 foot, just got to hold them all in a row, like no take backsies. From 6 foot, allowed 1 miss, and then from 10 feet, allowed 2 misses. But the thing is, if I miss on the 6 foot and the 10 foot, I then have to try and hold the putts that I missed again, or else I start again. 3 foot fine, 6 foot fine. The 10 foot putts I have literally been at now, for about 3 hours. I've been close twice, basically on the last ball and missed. I'm going to give it 2 more goes. Light's almost gone. This is very last time, but I'm going to video every single stroke from behind. I want to see a couple of things I'm trying to work on. I'm trying to keep my head very still as I hit, trying to keep it focused basically on the ground in between the putter and the ball. I want to try and hear the ball drop. I know it's getting quite late, but just a simple instruction, just keep your eyes down, just so desperate to look where the ball's going. Time to head off up to Newcastle upon Tyne, well actually just beyond that, heading upon the wall, as in Hadrian's Wall, for a practice round the Close House, and it's rather windy. I think it's going to be about 50 miles an hour once I get up there, which is almost bordering on the point of if it's going to be worth actually going out. Still not got my car back, so in another car that I've actually borrowed from a friend today. Let's hope it gets there.
So I think it might be time to call it quits today. It's horrible. It's like 50-mile-an-hour wind. Now it's raining. Nah, I think I can remember the 4 holes. If not, I'll make them up. Time to have a look on Google Earth, I think.
Well, that practice round was different. So I've never ever suffered from a dodgy back, but I think the drive and the fact that I just went straight out to the tee, so it took me a little bit longer to get up here than I imagined. My back was so stiff. So my actual swing on the golf course wasn't anywhere near what I thought it would be, so I didn't actually kind of play well. Let's face it, in those conditions, I probably shouldn't have gone out. I mean, 50-mile-an-hour winds and rain, you're not going to learn very much about your game in that type of environment because it's such an extreme, and today's conditions aren't anything like that. It's pretty much half the wind, and I don't think there's going to be any rain. So last night I did a bit of practice in here, just using some gate drills. Now, gate drills, very simple, just all about start line. And I think this is the actual first flat carpet I've found. And I'm going to get to the golf course, get on the range, loosen myself up, and then also get to the putting green where I'm going to be using the ghost hole, which is shown here, to actually figure out some breaks and just to make sure that that's going okay, because that's the only thing that over this past week that I've not practiced as much as I should have. So I'm going to do that on the putting green at close house to give myself a bit of a better understanding of the pace of the greens as well. Okay, let's dive straight into the details of this round. And let's break down if the putting practice actually had any benefit to the game. So I shot 11 over, which is my worst score in a comp since starting the Quest for the Open series 4 years ago. So how did this cacophony of cock-ups actually come about? So firstly, it was a much better day at close house. The wind was pretty much halved, actually less than that. It was probably about 15 miles an hour. It was relatively warm. There's only a light smattering of rain every now and again. It was actually in pretty good conditions, I would say. Now, my goal before the comp was simply to putt well, in the belief that if I had about 27 putts or less, even if I had an okay ball striking round, that would get me about under par. In the end, I had 32 putts with 2 3-putts as well. Now, what's quite strange is that my roll and my stroke on the ball with the putter, it was actually pretty good. The drills definitely did their job, but there was 2 aspects within my putting practice which I simply overlooked, and that's green reading and understanding of the greens, and pace control. So the court course at close house has very big, very undulating greens. I hit 11 out of 18 greens, which isn't terrible, it's just a bit meh. And the putts that I hit actually went mostly along my intended lines. I can't think of a single putt that I hit that went offline. It's just the lines that I chose were wrong. My short putting was actually really solid as well, so I think I only missed 1 putt from inside 6 feet. So from that aspect, what I've actually done within my putting this week for the short putts, for line, for things along that nature, actually it's a bit of a tick. Those things did work. Certainly settling me over short putts, which is often a problem in competitions, that was absolutely fine. My 2 3-putts actually came from, again, poor pace control on the first putt. I hit the ball scrappy, which is to be expected with the swing changes that I'm going through. I was never going to go out there and have a pure ball striking round unless everything just fell into place. But something I really didn't take into consideration enough was the slopes on the course. So close house is built on the side of a hill basically, and there's never really a shot which is a flat shot. And quite a few times I just flew through the back of the green into some really thick rough. And during that practice round, I should have taken the time, even though it was difficult with the conditions, to understand the breaks and understand those greens a little bit better. That was just a poor preparation by myself. Now, for 17 out of the 18 holes, I was 4 over, which is actually not a bad score when you compare it to the others which came in yesterday. There's a lot of high 70s and a lot of low 80s. The winning score to get through to the British Masters, there was only 1 place available. That was a 4 under, which was a pretty solid score that day. So even though I was 4 over for 17 of those holes, let's get into what happened on the 11th. So the 11th is a tricky par 4. There are big numbers possible there. But I had an 11, which is my worst score on a single hole in professional golf. So the fairway funnel necks into a little cleft which has been cut out of the hillside, and that's about 20 yards wide. I don't think it's Hadrian's Wall. It might be Hadrian's Wall. There's some kind of Roman earthworks there anyway. And you need a layup of about 220 yards to be absolutely perfect, but Further back at 200 yards, the fairway's about 50 yards wide. You know, it's a big target area. There's trees and rough to the right hand side, and there's out of bounds fence to the left. Now, I just birdied the previous hole, par 5, and I was back to 3 over. So I stepped on the tee, feeling pretty confident. Pulled out my trusty 2-iron, lined up to the left-hand half of the fairway with the wind behind and left, just allowing for a little bit of cut. Stepped up and pulled it out of bounds. Understandably, this rattled me a little bit. So I pegged up again, you know, 2-iron, very similar shot, just trying to focus on it, and hit it out of bounds again. By this point, a mild panic has set in. So I ditched the long iron, pull out my 3-wood and hit like a nicky, thin little thing up the left-hand side. I'm trying to stay calm, and I hit an okay approach into the green, but I've completely misjudged my angles, and I've actually hit it right of the green in some really thick rough. Now this stuff is deep, but my ball is sat down. We only just find it. So get my lob wedge and take just this almighty swing at it, and the ball flies out like a fox with its tail set on fire. Flies over the green, almost hits one of my playing partners, and flies into the thick rough the other side of the putting surface. So my heart is like thumping at this point, and my mouth is getting pretty dry. I'm feeling the world kind of closing up on me a little bit, and when I get to the ball, it's in even worse of a lie than it was. So I take another swing at it, obviously a little bit nervous now, but it just trundles out short of the green. So my hands are pretty numb. I hit a poor chip really to about 12 foot. I don't even look at the putt, I just step up to it, hit it, miss that, and then tap in for the big 1-1 11. I can only convey like the embarrassment that I felt. You know, this is a professional competition. I felt like a fool, and at that point I could have just led down in the grass and just asked people to leave me alone. It could have gone downhill really badly because I was just, like mentally, I was just gone. Yeah, everything was fuzzy. But I found a little bit of pride, and actually from that point, I almost hit the pin on my approach to the par 3 next. And I was +1 on the remaining holes. I actually birdied the last. I hold a really good putt, which was made me laugh. But there lies within my game at this moment in time an anxiety which just does not let me play the golf which I know I can play. One of my last non-competitive rounds was at Hoy Lake, where I shot 6 under using Tiger's clubs. But that is 17 shots difference to what I did at Close House. 17. So, boys and girls, what can we learn? Firstly, putting and hitting the ball well is one thing. Having an underlying strength within the mental game, that's completely another story, and that's what I'm going to be focusing on within the next few weeks. I'm going to enlist the help of someone to help me with this as well. So just as I've got help with my full swing, I'm going to get some help with the mental side of stuff as well. You know, I am still a golf coach, and I feel that I know a fair bit about this game. I know it's something that I've needed to do for quite some time, but I've just put it off because it's hard, it's difficult. Now remember, I'm a coach, but the Quest for the Open series is fundamentally based on the principle of learning through experience. This experience for me is a painful one, but only because of the expectations that I place on myself for those competitions. This pressure is self-imposed. And I'm doing this series because in 10 years time, I want to be able to turn around and say to one of my clients, you know, potentially a really good young player, you know, how did I deal with a pressurized situation? How was I able to play my best golf on the course? And I'm not going to be able to give that advice unless I actually go through these experiences. And you always learn more from failing. The key is when you fail to, you know, get up and go again. And that's what I'm going to do. So I've got 3 comps, I'm pretty sure, lined up within the next 3 weeks. So the PGA started to stage their local events again. And that is that. So guys, thank you so much for watching. So definitely those putting drills are going to help you if you are struggling with line. It's adding in the pace control element and understanding the greens that you're putting on much better. And again, it's going to give me lots to think of going forward. So guys, if you've enjoyed this video, please hit that subscribe button, give it a like, and maybe, you know, just some nice words. But remember, most of all, it's only golf, and we'll see you down here next time. Okay.